You got the one that didn't have like the one you actually asked for, right? Somebody gave you that. I mean, I gave you it.
Tim.
It's a Bitcoin podcast. The only one that's making your money is you. Listen to the Bitcoin podcast. So hold on and listen to the Bitcoin podcast.
Yeah. We're still the Squid Games characters. I like to point out that I am the triangle, the universe's most balanced and structured shape. That's me.
Circle.
No, circle's infinite. The triangle's stable. You know what I mean?
Triangle's the smallest.
Circle's
you can have
barely
a polygon.
Shaped. Circle's barely shaped. It's got all.
It is the infinite polygon. It is the most structural of all.
In
the
sociology, the triad is the most stable group.
Then again, he's got a point. Trigonometry is named after triangles, not circles.
That's right. Circleometry. That's not a.
I think trigonometry is named after circles. I'm looking it up.
No, I think they're the triangles. That's what Colin just said.
Dude,
Sorry, it is not named after triangles.
Colin
Like trigonometry.
Colin is
version, not trigonometry.
What's the funniest thing about Colin's frozen faces is that's the same face I make when I go to Cold Stone Creamery, like looking at all the ice cream.
Oh yeah,
look at it.
I wonder if he's looking at ice cream right now.
I'm like, ooh, they've got buttercream. Anyways, guys, welcome to the Bitcoin podcast. I'm the host.
What do you know? Trigonometry.
Yeah, dude. Trigonometry,
triangle, and metron measure. I am sorry.
Geometry means earth measure. You're measuring the earth.
Your geo?
Trigonometry means triangle measures. You're measuring triangles.
Oh, it's measurement of angles and lengths.
I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm the host that talks first. D.
I am another host, Dr. Corey Petty, who doesn't know anything about mathematics.
And I'm the third host, Jesse Broke.
Nice, Jess. I typically wouldn't say anything about, you having that face modifier on, but since I gave you your spark,
so weird.
Since I gave you your spark,
I was before you joined, and I just logged in to see this, and Alicia has the same thing. I was like, I just hope that you get the Snapchat one, and they don't even try to morph your face; they just give you his face.
Yeah.
You're not even trying, right? It's like it ends up being exactly that.
I should do this, and then this is the Snap filter, right?
Yeah,
Snapchat.
Hold up, I have that.
Apparently, it's Pixar Day.
I'm gonna run that.
Yeah, Alicia's the one.
All right, D be back in an hour as he figures out how to run this.
No, it's not. It's true. I have it here. Which
the fifth one on the featured, fifth one from the left.
That's gonna take about an hour.
Told you.
Welcome
back, Colin. Aren't you a streamer?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see.
I don't know what happened. It's this graphics card or something. I've been having problems with it lately.
Which one do you have?
Too.
Yeah, so we brought Colin back on.
3080.
3080.
I gotta get out and get back in. But
you're on Windows, I imagine.
Back in, it's go time.
Interesting.
Occasionally happens. Don't know why.
Did your computer just shut down?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, weird.
It only happens when I'm streaming, and it's rare, but it happens. I don't know what happened here. I do have that NVIDIA stream thing you told me about, so maybe that's the root cause.
Broadcast.
But I also been fucking with CUDA, and it's been giving me problems ever since then too. So
do it.
I don't know how that would do it, but
this isn't a CUDA podcast. This is a Bitcoin.
I mean,
podcast.
it could be.
We're
If
not
we
going to
want
talk about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about
GPU mining. If you want to talk about GPU mining, that's what I was working on. So.
Well, there seems apparently so in the Slack, there's been a lot of discussions, at least like yesterday or the day before, around. I mean, for the longest time, there's always been discussions around the differentiation between proof of work and proof of stake. You seem to love these conversations.
I want to jump off a bridge every time it comes up.
You want to do that?
No. It's been beaten to the. How many podcasts have you had?
Oh, I've explained it. I literally actually explained it again today in a meeting, talking about consensus stuff at Status. I went through my entire. I mean, I've perfected it to this point. The diatribe of like how to think about the differences. I've said it on the podcasts countless times. I've explained it.
You just see these otherwise super intelligent people just making it a like religious issue, and it's just like they just serve different purposes, and you're not going to get speed out of POW. Like that's just like it. Like they serve different purposes. You're not going to get speed out of POW. So
well,
No.
they took away your mustache.
Yeah, why would
Mustache
it
was
take
pivotal.
away my mustache and make me look like Black Jesse looks? Like, we look exactly the same.
Your Apple emoji looks way better. If you had to pick a Pixar thing, your Apple emoji looks better.
Apple. Yeah. Yeah. This is not what I thought it would be. Sorry, audience. It's not doing anything.
Please
It's
don't
just-
keep it. Can I get rid of those?
Yeah,
Those are
I'm
weird.
gonna
Okay.
stop.
you got
doing
one
this.
Jesse's-
hell of a widow's peak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
look
gonna-
at Andreas. They're pulling an Andreas over here.
Bitcoin is no, I'm playing. I'm not gonna use Bitcoin. That's how Andreas sounds. He always sounds like that.
Can you do like a quality? Do
Let me see what I can do. Can I do a quality
decent-
Andreas?
Try to go Andreas for like a minute.
You see, Bitcoin is what governments wish they could be, which is something that actually works. You see, governments will try to come for you, Bitcoin. You tell them, "Fuck you." You say, "Fuck you." So, I want to get into a little bit of the. No, I can't do it, Trace. I'm not good at it.
Yeah, it's something's not right about it. You gonna leave again?
It's a little bit off. No, I'm just changing the camera back to
Oh.
me because, tired of that.
Brought to you by Snap Camera. They don't.
And
support us.
I'm back. So, Colin,
So
Mr. Couché, the
What up?
Couché.
yep, the
You know,
one and
welcome
only.
to the guest hosting. Not your first rodeo. You're comfortable in front
Nope.
of a camera and a microphone by now.
I don't know though. I think this like I might have like appeared on the like beat, but like I'm not like never like guest host. If that's what you're calling me, I'm
I mean,
cool with
you were co-host of one of the
hashing it out.
hashing it out, co-creator,
Yeah. So
Then I bailed
which is
on
the
you.
greatest podcast in the world.
how you can say that's better than our podcast, bro? Well, I guess this is yours. Oh shit, bro! You
I
got
mean,
green on your shirt.
It's a different audience,
Yeah.
man.
It's like a
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Hashing It Out is a great show. I love that it's like slow boiling into something. I see it people popping up on Twitter like, "Hey, Hashing It Out's a pretty good show." And did you ever jump those other
Real.
people who
It's
had
raw.
Hashing It Out?
It's uncompromisingly technical.
That's good.
It's in the streets.
Which is why I left. No.
Hashing
You left
It Out.
because you got busy.
I list because I was dying and the quality of the program was suffering for it. So I
You were
needed
busy.
to.
You were busy.
I was tired. I was so exhausted.
So
Yeah.
should we tell people like who you are?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it, bro. Let them know.
Oh, I gotta tell him? Man, no, I want y'all to brag for me.
All right, so
Okay.
let me see what I can do here. Colin is previous co-host of Hashing It Out. He is current host of Couché, which is just it's like Astro World, but people don't die. Is it too soon? Too
No.
soon? Okay, cool. It's like Astro World.
It's more
but
like
people don't
9/11.
die. Oh wow, he took it as extreme as possible. We're gonna get canceled.
Yeah,
Welcome
well,
to Colin.
you know how I do.
We're gonna
Yeah.
get canceled. So Colin was a core contributor, core developer, core. What do you call it for
early core team developer
Yeah.
of Avalanche.
You put your
Earliest date.
fingerprint. Your fingerprint is officially on the Avalanche ecosystem.
Yep.
I would
No way
like
around.
to take credit for that.
Ooh,
Thank you.
We got wow.
Hashing it out. Brought to you by Hashing It Out.
Nice. Very
We
nice.
interviewed Goon. It's like we've been interviewing Goon since well before
Yeah.
he had Team Rocket Avalanche. He was been doing distributed. So we've been interviewing him on the Bitcoin podcast
For some time.
about hacking distributed and Bitcoin stuff probably before even Ethereum happened, right? So like,
Mhm.
so when Avalanche started hitting the
I mean,
streets,
Not
we
even
brought him on
started.
directly. We brought him on directly. So, but yeah, before when the Team
The
Rocket,
paper was out. Ava Labs didn't even exist when we first
Team
interviewed him, I
Rocket
think.
published it on IPFS. I found it. I sent it to Colin. Said this is interesting, and then I made the connection that Goon understood the concepts well, not so much that he was on Team Rocket or whatever that was. And we brought him on and hashing it out, learned about it, brought him on a few more times. We interviewed, and then I think around the second one, Colin was like, "This is interesting. I want to do this." And then
After the episode, yep.
After the episode, like I literally talked to Gooden's like, "I want to do this. How could I get in?" And then
I said, "I want to work for you," and he says, "I would love to have you work for me." And I was like, "Okay."
That's
So-
such a good Gooden.
That's a pretty good one.
So,
Oh,
I,
the sun's shining in my eyes. I'm gonna fix this. Y'all keep going.
so yeah, immediately I got into the interview process. I passed Kevin's interview, and then I talked to Steven. It was not hard. Like at that time, they were just wanting bodies and seats. I don't know, like because they hired me, and I was not a consensus expert, but they didn't need one of those. They needed somebody who understood platform, I think, and so that's where I kind of like jumped in the most.
Nice. So
all around crack
there's-
developer.
there's some stuff that I find interesting, and that is I've been driving around town, and when I drive around town, I have very deep thoughts. I don't know about you guys. You guys might be into the road, reading
I don't
signs,
drive.
following traffic laws. Jesse, are you, when you drive, are you in it?
No,
or
I
are you
just-
zoned
I
out?
use delivery things.
Oh, okay. You don't even move from your chair. You just Uber delivered into my mouth.
Exactly.
I'm right there with you.
Directly into my mouth.
I occasionally go and drop my son off or pick my son off from daycare, and that's
do-
about it.
I remember recently that Jesse had I'm gonna put your business in the street, Jesse.
Go for it.
He Ubered boba tea or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And I was
One
like,
of those
"Did you
shows.
You had to
That's,
trade today.
that's a
You-
flex move.
You had
$8 drink with an
$8
$8
everything
tip.
Ubered.
Yo, I looked
Well-
at the delivery fees today, and it looks like everything went up too.
Yeah,
Like even more.
The real flex is he made the Uber delivery guy put the straw in his mouth, and he was like,
Wait, oh my God.
yeah," and he was like, "You're gonna put this in my mouth. I'll give you a tip for it." But anyway,
Give you that tip for it.
So some of the deep thoughts I have when I've been driving lately is like when this whole space startup was about decentralization, blah blah blah, decentralize all the things. But then it's not now. So now I'm thinking, okay, is it more about decentralization, or is it about like the controlled expansion and contraction of centralization? So now I'm thinking of
It's transparency.
what was that? Who's me? How was I hearing you?
I'm pushing out the broadcast to some folks, to different people.
Okay.
I went on YouTube, and it's
It's like, and the reason why I keep thinking about stuff like that is because as time goes on, this stuff gets more and more intricate and complex and technical, and as more of society gets involved, obviously it doesn't become less complex. And then in the Slack today, people were posting like, what the fuck is going on? And like all these assets could possibly exist on all these different chains. And then Joe's doing his thing where he's like, chain season, baby, it's here. And so I'm just thinking, like, if I'm a layman and I'm looking at this and like, what do you mean my asset is on multiple networks? What does that even mean? And that's just telling me that as we like push the clock forward, that there's going to have to be specialization. There's going to be centralization of knowledge, right? Which is in and of itself a form of centralization, right? There's going to be people that just don't know, so they're going to have to hire somebody to tell.
Like a financial advisor.
Yeah.
crypto
Or-
financial advisor. Oof,
Right?
Why are you saying oof?
that's gonna be hard to fucking. I mean, ostensibly, we could become those things because we've been around, understand the area well. What credentials you need? Like, what's the equivalent of a fiduciary for crypto financial advisor, right?
You don't
'Cause
need
there's-
many credentials to be a financial advisor.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, you don't need many credentials to give people advice on buying crypto either, but more often than not, that means you're going to be giving them shitty advice. So, like, what does it mean to be a good financial advisor that has the interest of the individual over making profit off of them in the crypto?
You won't be
financial advisor space?
buying Dogecoin, I'll tell you that.
That's true.
It's just pretty much literally they're just going to take regular financial advisors and add crypto ETFs and basket assets into
Navigating that.
into
Yeah, I
their
can see that.
portfolio.
I mean, that's the obvious way to do it. If you're going to have people who are already in the financial advisor space start adding crypto, it's going to be very, very safe vehicles that are more established and probably more amenable to like some of the traditional investment portfolio things, which are going to be ETFs, very soft exposure,
Derivatives, mixed
Well-
assets too. SpyX token could be a crypto asset. So now you got to tokenize. SPY.
Didn't
Standard.
Binance
Standard
try
for-
that, like with individual stocks, and then they got
Yeah, I
they
think
got it
they
booted
got-
out of Germany.
They got the ban hammer route.
They tried to run it out of Germany, and then they got it banned. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
A lot
This is
of
a
things
bad
will get
time, huh?
banned, but like you can, they're gonna unban them. Like that's just like, how many times has China banned crypto? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if there's value in it, they're gonna advocate for it. And at the end of the day, the legislators are all taking lobby money from big banks and major corporations and fucking rich people and all types. So
Let's
like,
give an example
literally,
of this, right?
if it works, they're gonna buy it.
So I want to use the ENS airdrop as an example. Like, me and Aaron were talking about this the other day because I've had to be like balls deep in understanding this
pause.
stuff.
Good write up. Read the whole thing today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so like ENS, which is the Ethereum naming service, has been a service for a long time. One of the early non-financial use cases of blockchain within the Ethereum ecosystem, that basically gives you a human readable name that then points to wherever you want. More often than not, wallet address or something, right? So cool. Something.eth points to some other reference. Neat. There's a bunch of things you can do with this. Status was an early integration with this. So our usernames within the mobile application are ENS names so that they point to your chat key and so on and so forth, right? So we were an early integration, and it's what happened was ENS finally decided that they'd like to make a token. And in the process of figuring out the initial token distribution, they did an airdrop. And for those who listen to us, you probably know what an airdrop is. So they then said, like, their metric for how to do that for the airdrop, public airdrop part, was basically like, if you have an address that owns that owns ENS names, that gives you tokens, and here's how we do it, right? So a lot of people got that, which is substantial. So if, like, at the current market price, I have one name that I've had since the beginning. I got the equivalent of around $25,000 or so of ENS tokens
For one name?
at the current price. But I've had the name since the beginning, and it's also registered for a long time,
I
right?
have 3 names.
And then so, like, but
Are
status.
you serious?
Hold on, let me finish.
Did I just get Alexis?
Yeah, I hope you have those names. I'll show you. I'll help you figure that out later. But because of Status's integration, we got a separate allocation that was for
Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
a bunch of. We got a bunch of it from a different pool of money that's way more substantial than $26,000. And I've had to figure out what to do with this money as an organization because of reasons, right? But like, coming back to our previous discussion, like, how can you stop that? This market cap is in the billions of dollars now. They went from, it's a useful project, made a token, now it's worth, the market cap is evaluated in the billions. And this naming service is probably more expensive. I think at $100, it becomes worth more than GoDaddy.
Mm.
And so,
But it's more valuable than GoDaddy.
well, that's an argument to be
I'm
made.
talking about from a strictly utilitarian purpose.
Maybe we'll see. It's one TLD, right?
You know what it
So
doesn't have? Danica Patrick.
It's
you
just
don't
has
think it's
some-
worth anything, Colin? Huh?
Oh no,
Yeah.
he doesn't like Nick that much, but the naming services are useful. You're muted for some reason.
Yeah, you're muted.
You're
Colin.
muted hard, Colin.
Colin.
Colin is not good at streaming.
Technical difficulties. The Bitcoin podcast lag right now. We got podcasters that don't know how to podcast. Podcasters don't know what the hell they're doing up in here. We got. Wait, where's the
Yeah,
music?
cut those short. That's your stream deck, is it not? Oh no, that's Colin. Colin has a stream deck as well.
Mine's not
Yeah,
as good.
I think I screwed up. I was trying to flip to the thing that enables me to both have my voice and the sound thing, but it's not working. Don't worry about it. Yeah, what were we talking about? Oh, ENS.
You don't agree with ENS being that valuable?
The thing is, all right. So hold on. I don't think
Wait a
NFT is
minute.
valuable.
He said, "Pump your brakes."
I don't think these like art NFTs are all that valuable. You know, I think they're a trend. Now, ENS will be probably valuable for a while, but like, is it going to be a long term like utility? Like it depends on Ethereum being able to scale, because otherwise you're having just this price issue with just buying a simple domain name essentially.
Well, there's two parts to that. It relies on Ethereum being able to scale and people on Ethereum not willing to go elsewhere or merge across multiple chains. Like we're seeing a lot of projects expand beyond Ethereum because the current pricing in Ethereum isn't good enough for them. And so the project itself can go beyond it. If that ecosystem is willing to do it. But when you do something like make a governance token and you put it on the layer 1 of Ethereum, it makes it more difficult to do that probably. But
it's not that it's not worth anything. It's just that it's going to be difficult to utilize, just because of the underlying infrastructure. That's all. And it's. I mean, I'm sure people who use Ethereum will find it useful. But I also,
as an example of that, ENS usernames on status are self-owned ENS registrations, right? But that's really expensive. You're going to pay that much for a username just in fees? I mean, people don't get them now. I look at the registrations over time, they're pretty correlated to the level of fees and how uneconomical it is. And so we've built features that people don't use because Ethereum's fee prices have risen because of use outside of what we build, right? That's a problem.
I mean, I don't want to shill too hard, but like I have said in hashing it out, it is an infrastructure play. The next big thing will be an infrastructure change. And, Ethereum was great for proving out that's automated business logic and, automatically executing procedures with composability has value in a decentralized finance world. It actually invented decentralized finance, to be frank with you. So like that was cool. And that's why Ethereum is cool. But as long as you don't have an underlying infrastructure that could support the users, it's useless in terms of just these cool little features like ENS. Like they're just not. It
elbows out a lot of the things you can do on Ethereum for a very small, limited amount of things that are economically feasible to do because of the scale.
This goes back to what I was telling you in the group chat, which is like, does it make sense for us to get an ENS specifically for the podcast, depending on the fees associated with using Ethereum and what we want to use it for?
It all depends on what Colin said. The linchpin is, can Ethereum scale? When, if, how it scales, then yes, things usable on Ethereum are usable. Right now, Ethereum is just so doggone Bitcoin circa 2017 that it's just hard to do stuff, man. It's $15 minimum fee for damn near just looking at Ethereum.
Yeah, so me claiming my ENS tokens for my name cost me $160 in fees.
Dude,
now that's like worth it
for
that's worth it for $25,000.
It's very true
at the current price.
I need to figure out how to get my fucking Lexus. That's what I need.
Well, you said you have status and usernames.
Yeah,
so I didn't. Status. So like that's you read the proposal. Like
I saw it.
We have to figure out what to do with all that money, whether or not it's economically reasonable to distribute that to all of the people who have registered names.
It's not, right?
Well, at current prices, it may be. But there's also a lot of development in building smart contracts to get them to claim things, a lot of branding, a lot of status resources, things like that. And also, so like there's a discussion within status to be made along with the community on what to do with those funds. And
look,
so
just give me Jared's phone number. I'll call him. I'll
just give me Alexis. You can keep
hey, Jared,
I'd like
my
Alexis,
money.
please.
Just send me Alexis. All right, you can keep my money.
But the point of that,
I actually have two names because the third name, Corey, you're not gonna like hearing this. I did lose my words to it.
Everyone does.
It was many moons ago, and the funny thing is there might be like a half.
Sort of my wife makes you feel better, like,
dude.
I'm kind of interested in
not for getting back.
Colin shitting on Ethereum still.
Oh, hold on. We can get there. That's fine. We can go on a full and rant. But what I wanted to get to I wanted to point out in the beginning was that how can you stop that? How does
What?
a government or whoever take that away from people?
They don't.
You've given a bunch of tokens based on use to people that has real world value. It may take a few extra steps to realize that value in the real world, but it's there. We've seen it, we've used it, it's made impact on our lives. How do you stop that?
Why would you?
Yeah, exactly.
Some may want to. Some may. Some. Maybe particularly.
In my opinion, all crypto would do better if we would stop thinking that earnest things are gonna get regulated out of relevance, right? People need to stop saying Bitcoin is gonna be outlawed. Just stop it. China literally said, yeah, it's banned, and now they're already saying, sorry, we could have been wrong. We're thinking about it, right? India did the same.
Who was it? I just said something about Nigeria is now going after people who they feel have been doing anything in crypto and shutting down their bank accounts.
Well, you can't spell corruption without Nigeria. So let me tell you something. They're taking that Bitcoin and they're and it's going.
But that's what this is. That's what this is for. This
not
isn't
for the people, Corey.
This isn't
Crypto
built
isn't
for
the
me.
people
This is built for people who don't have fucking banking services. Now,
A lot of
people
my
who use
favorite
it are
early
getting banking
adopters.
services.
A lot of my favorite early adopters in Avalanche were Nigerian, and I made the joke about the Nigerian prince. They didn't get it, because they're just trying to get a leg up. They don't hear about these terrible jokes that we have about them, and they're just people trying to hustle like anybody else. To hear that their bank accounts might be shut down kind of breaks my heart. They were really nice people that are honest and earnest and trying to
Not
build
all of them.
things.
A lot of them.
The ones I met.
I not to get too far on the sidebar, but I've never liked the whole we're gonna bank the unbanked thing. I can't get behind it because
He's like, I'm trying to get rich, son.
No, that's not it. It's because typically it's coming from someone who's like, yeah, we just gotta bank the unbanked. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I get more gold flakes? On
Yeah,
flakes,
but
please?
here's the thing,
Can I
right? The
get more
people who
gold
have
flakes
access today,
Yeah,
they're the ones that have to do it because they have the access to do it. You need to be in the in group to intermediate the in group, and so you're relying on a lot of chads to not be chads.
You're
like the Sierra group.
The question is, what benefit are they actually getting?
Exactly.
Because if they're storing it in their mattress right now, What's the difference between a mattress and a ledger? If somebody's going to come into your house with a wrench, they might as well just grab the shit under your mattress, or they could grab your ledger and tell you to unlock it. Either way, you're screwed. It doesn't really change their equation very much. It just adds the internet. It adds the internet, which, by the way, most of these places that are unbanked, shitty internet service. So I'm not really sure I buy that argument either.
It's just, to me, is like M-Pesa is a great use case. Case
Are we still cursing, by the way?
Yeah. I'm not allowed to curse for 3 months, according to Wayne.
I didn't hear you do it, which made me nervous. And then, okay. So
you can curse away, but I've been
try to keep it. Try to keep it.
Keep it at a minimal.
I got a niece and nephew now.
We're in the public, yo.
Corey's got a kid. His kid can't be growing up seeing him saying.
He's not watching this. I don't care. My kid listens to me cuss all the time.
Oh, that's
our kid's gonna have a dirty mouth between me and my wife. So,
an interesting case study is M-Pesa. It's great. The people, they use their cell phone minutes as money. It's great. They love it. There's a little society going on with it. There's economy. It's cool. They built their own currency. But the banks that are backing, it's like 4 banks in London that run the whole thing. So it's like, okay, so it's just making the extremely wealthy, hyper ultra Street Fighter 2 wealthy that nobody could ever. That's why I'm like, that argument of, it would be cool if the banking the unbanked argument was coming from
Can people do more with M-Pesa than they could beforehand?
I get what your argument is, and you're not wrong. You're absolutely
the argument
right.
is this: this is what people are. This is what you're really arguing against, and this is kind of, I think, the ethical dilemma or real argument. Should people who make something that actually makes a difference and increases the inclusion or gives people the ability to do something they couldn't do before. And if they become incredibly wealthy in the process of doing it, is the thing bad? Like, what's the
No.
balance there, right? That's the balance. Like, if it's centralized, but it makes a significant difference in people's lives for the better, is it bad that people make a tremendous amount of profit from it?
No.
Depends on who you're asking.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That's the argument. This isn't a yes or no thing, because it depends on how they profit. It depends on how they profit. It depends on
Fired up.
how much they're like what type of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, like how much they control and maliciously use that power on behalf of the people that they're serving. And I think a lot of the change in at least the current state of crypto is it's very similar systems in that we're very privileged in the way, like, the people who are building these technologies are very privileged and they're making a bunch of money off of it. But we're attempting to shift that balance of, we don't want to take advantage of the people who we're giving power to in the process of making money. We're trying to do more of like a non-zero
I don't care
sum
about
game.
Guatemalans.
I want people to be able to have options.
I don't care about Guatemalans. Like, what do you want me to say?
I feel like it's the
I'm supposed to be
privilege-
like, I know I'm supposed to be like, hey, yeah, but no, dude, I wanted to build something so I could get rich, and I did that, so I'm good. But like, like, I'm not trying to, like, I don't care about
I think
Guatemala.
you're the normal. That's most
I think
people.
so, too.
I'm different. I care. I want people to have more rights than they currently have.
This is all I'm saying is that, Balaji and these Silicon Valley people, they don't care if Solana ever makes it so that Panamanians can buy their groceries easier. They don't. That's
think it's just
my
a marketing
argument, is that the people that say those things are always the people that have
100%.
way, 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 way more than enough. Like, oh man, I accidentally flushed my gold toothpaste down the toilet. Like, come on, man. Like, if it's coming from someone who is unbanked, like, say it's like an immigrant, he gets education.
So it only matters if it's coming from someone who isn't rich.
To me, it does, because
I think that's fucking
silly.
stupid.
That's just silly. I think it's
If you
if
you have the means to survive,
I cursed.
when you get more means
Damn it, I cursed.
and you're not distributing
bad
that to other
influence.
people, then you're being greedy. Like, if you have the means to survive, if you continually stack,
What's wrong with greedy?
more,
I mean, like, there's a little bit of greed's
nothing's
okay.
wrong with it, but a lot of it that's usually tends to, like, this pooling of wealth and massive inequality, where we end up where we have the underprivileged.
You know what's weird to me is that the people are like, oh, that's greedy. They're pointing at people who don't care.
Sure,
What the fuck
but
are you
there
gonna do?
people
Like,
who do.
oh, you're greedy. They're like, so what? Hey, like,
Yeah.
they don't care.
To say that everyone's
like, you got to
that
make
way
them care.
is
You
stupid.
got to make them care. Yeah, but the people, the people,
Well, this is the
who
technology that
you gotta
allows
make them
for that.
care.
Okay, like
Gotta make them care.
the ethos of crypto is more
That's
people that
eroded.
care.
In my opinion,
It's eroded for sure.
I don't
But that doesn't
think
mean.
so.
But I think it's eroded because it's grown so much and brought in a bunch of people that don't
I don't
care.
think it's eroded.
I'm talking about from Bitcoin ideals, like since like 2011. Like,
I don't think
it's
so at
eroded
all.
since then.
I think it's just bigger. so it's
Diluted.
taking long to get.
Diluted is the right word.
well, centralized exchanges for one are more popular than DEXs. No, centralized
but- yeah,
blockchains are more
yeah.
popular
But
than
The
more
amount
distributed
of
blockchains.
volume that DEXs are putting through
Sans-
is massive.
I don't.
I
think
also want to
it's-
go on to say that centralized exchange argument
Yeah.
is out of necessity. So it's not
Correct.
really fair right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's necessarily the
Yeah.
long term. I think
Not
that
like
the
DEXs
reason it
can
got there,
support it.
yeah, you're not going to get high speed. You're not going to get the throughput or security that you want from, like, everything being in Ethereum. It's just not going to work.
Especially considering we're in the phase where the majority of new money is coming from fiat, and centralized exchanges are the only ones that can actually facilitate that.
So what's the time horizon
were-
where you can put that back on the table as a factor to judge whether,
Probably next
the-
couple of years.
You know what I would do if I were a centralized exchange? I would take a portion of my
You
profits
clearly buy Alexis.
and buy Alexis. No, I would take. A
You
percentage
can't.
Of my
Who's
profits.
Alexis? You can't buy people.
Oh, that's right. I heard a saying today. By the way, I'm not gonna say it here. I'm not gonna say it because I can't.
Why not?
Cool story.
Oh.
Because it's lewd and I can't curse. But anyways,
Put it in the Slack.
what was it? If I were a centralized exchange, I take a portion of my profits, put it towards my little R&D, and then figure out a way to make a bunch of decentralized exchanges and then just peel little fees and put it back in my pocket. Like just put liquidity all over
You
the
don't
internet.
think that people are looking into that?
I think they're probably doing it. I think they're probably already doing it. I think it's already being done right now. I think Coinbase owns a shit ton. Coinbase. I think they own a shit. I think I have a button for that. It's not gonna work though.
Coinbase.
Oh shit.
Eh,
Oh yeah.
There you
There we
go.
go.
It's like it's playing through your speakers. That's good enough.
But anyways, I think Coinbase already has it. I think they have a bunch of decentralized exchanges, and nobody's gonna ever know if they made it. No one would ever know. Any centralized exchange, no one would ever know.
Coinbase
How would they know?
Ventures, they won't have
You
that
know
stamp
that
on
usually
it.
no developers.
They'll get in trouble.
yeah,
yeah,
just,
They will get
they fund it.
fucked.
Yeah,
You can't just make it-
they're so regulated that they can't
Yeah.
operate.
They're
in the
trying to
shadows.
go
Why-
for a legitimate bank They are a legitimate bank. They're FDIC protected, but like they're literally a bank in New
What
York. Like they are literally a bank. So
What's the legality around them creating a decentralized exchange?
Well, they
just
can't do it in
letting
the
it go.
shadows.
they fail KYC test.
Yeah,
Besides, all these decentralized
I feel like it's a
exchanges
gray
now
area.
have a reward token. And if you're not doing a reward token, people kind of actually aren't using it for some reason because those rewards are actually you could compound them and shit. So like
the whole
if you put it in
goal is
liquidity,
like
yeah.
accrue to the people who are providing liquidity through some some
And
tokens.
so that there now you got security issues. So like I really don't think Coinbase is doing any of that. Like I don't.
I know
I-
one damn
I really
thing. They're
don't.
making like $9 to $12 billion a month, so they need to start doing an
Goddamn
airdrop.
right.
Why don't you do an airdrop up in this bitch Coinbase? Shit,
Why
They're
they got
doing
$4
it
billion a
as
month?
they're
Huh?
doing NFTs. Well, they're going to apparently.
Fuck about an NFT.
Yeah, they're doing their own
some,
OpenSea, right?
I want some CB token dropped up in my shit.
Oh yeah, that's not.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like all these like, did you know OpenSea is the one who controls
Cursed
your
already.
royalties?
Yeah.
Like you are, so like all these things that we think are super decentralized, like OpenSea tells you whether or not you're going to get your freaking royalties.
I mean, there's a reason why
That's
Status never implemented OpenSea for the
Like
longest time.
Webern protocol, yeah. Like it's just like
So
so here's the deal. Like a lot of this decentralized talk that we've had has gone out the window, but I think it's going to come back. It's going to come back. I'll tell you why. First off, the amount of regulation that's going to come into the space in the next couple of years is going to really make people's heads turn. The only way that they're going to get around that is through actual decentralization, because we're no longer be talking about the SEC if you're decentralized. You're going to be talking about the CFTC from the U.S. perspective. I don't know what the foreign stuff is, but like from a U.S. perspective, if you're talking about commodities, you're in a different category. You're in a category of Bitcoin and Ethereum or any Nakamoto protocol. But if you're not in that category, you're going to be having a bad time when it comes to securities.
you're gonna have
So-
a bad time.
Is that like Alpha Drop that that Nakamoto consensus is going to be classified as commodity?
It already I mean, they've already come out and said it. Like
Pretty sure
the
there's
SEC
already
has
like
not contested the FCC's opinion, CFTC's opinion on that. They don't pass the Howey test more. I don't know it's ever been challenged, but they don't pass the Howey test on the point of it's not a common enterprise. So in other words, like you know, it's not, when they say that, they mean there's no one business entity that's actually being invested in when you invest in Bitcoin, right? There's no one single business entity you're investing in when you invest in Ethereum. It's a general token that's basically used for a utility. So anything Avalanche, which produces multiple layered one networks that are connected together, I believe will have a chance of really making a splash in the
So-
space, because now those
I wanna
tokens are
add to
utility
that.
and necessary.
I want to add to that too. Some of the recent infrastructure billing is lumping in a bunch of node operators that may cause negative harm to people who run infrastructure for crypto. Basically, because if you're running a node or you're mining, you are processing financial transactions and being paid by the users. Basically, someone sends a transaction that has a fee associated with it. You collect those fees in the process of being a successful miner. And so and it can be argued that you're directly taking payment from the users for processing financial transactions.
There's like an MSB license is necessary.
Yes.
But that's only
What do you mean?
Yes.
It can't
It's
be
interesting
argued?
that
Hold on.
it's interesting
What
that
happened?
we need to clarify
Avalanche
that.
doesn't
We
do
need
this because they burn the fees.
Depending on the
no.
okay, go.
You
go,
could
Colin.
say that's true for Ethereum miners too, but we have to add this caveat. A lot of these people you're talking about with the taken in
Miners
fees
still
from
get
users,
fees.
et cetera, that like it's Lightning nodes and stuff where it's really centralized and it's like actually. So Arbitrum is a big risk factor there. Starkware is currently doing a centralized. Anything L2 is
screaming.
really under a lot of risk. Am I screaming? Anything
Screaming.
L2
Yeah,
is
a little bit loud. Yeah.
is a big risk.
Jesus.
So like.
Mike is in your
I
mouth.
just I have a sexy mic. So
Because you have a really nice mic. What mic is that?
Turn you down.
it's the Elgato Wave 3, baby. So basically, there's a lot of centralized infrastructure that's posing as decentralized. That's going to get like people who are operating that, especially in the United States, are just boned. And I mean that's just the case.
So it's not. You're not. I think you're absolutely. This is a good.
That's why blockchains are operating out of
prognostication.
different countries.
It's,
certain ones.
and even in what's his name, the dude from Kraken, the CEO of Kraken, founder of Kraken,
Jesse Powell.
he said in a very cryptic tweet that was like, basically when the regulation hits, I hope you're ready. Like he said,
Hold on to your butts moment.
Yeah, he said it back in the summer, and everybody was like, "What do you mean, Jesse? What?" And he was just like, "I mean, let's just be
It's
real
inevitable.
here."
But there
Let's
are
just be
blockchains
real
that
here.
are going toward it. They're running toward regulation,
Yeah,
like they're
sprinkle
trying to
board.
put their hand in the
Well,
hands
yeah,
of
they're making
politicians.
that bet
Yeah.
that in the event that the ban hammer comes down, they've already gone through the end channels to ensure
That's
that they're around it. And like I'd imagine, like
We're in.
some of the decisions around burning fees and Avalanche is part of that, right?
That's the American
like-
way, baby.
Like it behooves you to structure yourself
Look,
as a new
we
project
actually-
to try to do something different. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it's a novel mechanism that I would even argue is more fair to all of the validators.
That's why we did it.
Okay,
It's
well, you-
right.
you were there,
It's
so
the right. It's the
I'll
right
trust
move.
you.
It's literally every time you burn a token, it pays the whole network. It's like, why are we going to pay an individual? Why are we going to do all this extra math that we'd be like, oh, well, you get this much because you validated that much. Or why don't we just like burn the fees? It makes the entire token more scarce and it pays the whole network. It makes more
Well,
sense.
from like
I have a
a
question.
math
Then just reward
perspective, sinks and like having a quality understanding of sources and sinks for like value dynamics is easier to reason about than some of like the fee market of Bitcoin, right? That trade-off between as the block issuance scales down, how are we going to make sure the fees are properly incentivizing the miner to keep keeping up the level of security needed to secure the blockchain? That type of thing isn't as difficult to reason about from like a economics perspective when you have proper definitions of sources and sinks, which is what burning and minting does.
I have a question regarding burning of Avalanche tokens. Is there like, is it at such a rate that the value of Avalanche will go up basically and happen like to recreate like a similar dynamic that Ethereum is having with people trying to pay gas fees and they're like in the hundreds of dollars or
no. So I'm not really sure what you're saying there. So when you burn the token, we are going on our minting schedule. So if you look at that, it's actually approaching the 720 million tokens that we're ultimately going to print on the schedule. I think it's 22 years. I don't know, some schedule like that. I forgot. But basically that's not going to get interrupted by the burning. The burning itself just makes the token a little more scarce. It makes it hard. It slows that growth rate curve down a bit. And so you got to wait for the next stakers to get their rewards
when
back.
you burn tokens, it adds them back to the total supply.
Oh, it does.
That then gets mint. That then is recalculated back when people stake in terms of like.
Okay.
Stephen calls it like the global reserve, right? Like.
Yep.
And so it's like
the supply
tokens get
isn't being
burned.
removed permanently.
It's
It's being
right.
recycled back in.
The more you use the network, the more basically rewards are available for people.
more room there is to get to
The
720
more room there
million.
is to get to the, yeah, that's it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's a good system. The only thing that bothers me right now is how much it costs to stake, but whatever. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That we didn't. I mean, like,
Well, how
token
much
price
does it
went up.
cost? Let the people know.
150 million. I'm sorry, $180,000
as of
as a
$90,
minimum.
it's 100
At a minimum.
At $90 per token, it's $180,000. 2,000 of Vox.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
It wasn't when we started this time last year.
Think about this, right? Like, this is something that's interesting. Like, when they did the Denali testnet, every single person that participated in that testnet and like did this simple registration and ran a simple test on some light resources got 2,000 AVAX.
Yeah, that punches me.
All
in
you
the
had to
gut
do is show
because
up.
I just remember it glanced through the Slack and I was like, "What's Denali?" And then my life took over, and now I'm just like, "I could have done that. I could have done that."
Yeah, like we. I mean, to be fair, we tried. We told people we did it.
Yeah, that's true.
But you did do it,
run
right,
a whole.
Corey?
Yeah, hell yeah, I did that.
We
And
did run a
didn't you
whole
do one for the
ad
podcast
campaign.
too? I thought.
No, we did a sponsorship for the podcast that then like was a
Oh,
early
I thought
grant.
you also had a node. Okay, yeah.
We ran a whole
sponsorship
ad
was great.
campaign
We ran an ad campaign,
for
which is
I remember that.
what podcasts do. So like that's not a big deal.
But nevertheless, always the more. I guess
That's part of it. Like
conversation about
that's interesting. Is that like we've created this system, and I think I was having I wasn't even really an argument, but slightly back and forth with a guy named Lee. He does wallet. He makes he does a wallet software in Ethereum, but talking about this current trend in what I would consider the broader blockchain space of use as many things as you can as early as you can on platforms such that you get rewarded by being an early contributor. Be in the Discord, talk a lot, I don't know, make some PRs to change some grammar or write a blog post, run early testnet software, use the platform, send some tokens around, right? Because you get airdrops, incentivize things. But the name of the game for new platform is to garner attention from users and get early adoption so you can figure out what's broken to fix it early, or just get people on the platform so you can say people are using my platform so you can get more people to use your platform, and so people use your token, etc. And so what people are doing is they're just running everywhere, doing what they think is a reasonable amount of stuff on that platform in hopes that they qualify for whatever marketing incentivization scheme that platform is doing for early adopters. And this is now basically people's livelihoods, and it's significant, right?
Yeah, it's
say
crazy.
you just bought a username on ENS in the early days because you were just trying to use it, and you maintained it for the years. You would have $26,000.
Yeah, and that's we have an actual power user of Daniel's a power user of what you're talking about. That's a lot of people. This man, Daniel, I'm gonna tell a little bit of story and put business in the street, but you already put it in the street anyways. This man came to our Slack in 2017 and said, "I just sold all my stuff and bought a truck with a big ass, like one of those U-Haul trucks. Sold everything I own and bought one of them U-Haul trucks, and 100% of my time in life is gonna go into crypto." And this man has been getting in Discord group after Discord group. He's a story. Like, if anybody's listening to this has the capability of getting his story out there, do it. Discord group after Discord group, signing up on things, doing all of the things. That
was a high risk, and that wasn't something that a lot of people could do. He was in a position to do it and made the decision, a very difficult decision, to do that. And he did it.
Quit his job.
He was dedicated to it. He didn't quit all the time. He spent a lot of that time still working. He sold. He basically minimized his rent costs by an overhead by like living frugally.
But at the end of the day, now I see him consistently, and now he's now he's probably like DeFi Dan, I think is what he's called, and he's like a person of like he's knowledgeable, experienced in the space. If you got questions, he's got answers. And I see, and he's being rewarded left and right from these.
Well, that was part of the reason why I was arguing why this is such a cool thing, is that if you're one of these people that are say you're not technical, right? You can't develop this stuff, or you're not financially inclined to trade or whatever. just showing up and asking and participating is going to give you a tremendous learning experience on just how to use this stuff. And no one's expecting you to be super knowledgeable. They just want people to use it and ask questions so they can answer these questions and make FAQs or whatever. And just the process of trying and being a part of a community can be incredibly lucrative and also a tremendous learning experience. Granted, if you pick the wrong projects, you may get fucked. But like that's a hard part. But that's also a learning experience. I mean, and that's a valuable learning experience that we all gone through. Like we've all thought something was cool and it turned out to be a scam or irrational exuberance or like even just ineptitude. People like promised a bunch and couldn't deliver it. And so we've been through that learning experience. It's just much easier. I think it's harder to navigate that today such that you don't have it. You're basically going to get it.
And another cool thing about this industry / community, if you're listening, I think there's 3 people live, so shout out to you 3. But then there's people that are going to listen. Is that it's really easy to work in crypto and work in, I call it in real life because a lot of crypto doesn't feel like real life sometimes. And you can get a job, part-time job doing. What is that?
I'm having technical difficulties.
It is hard reset.
What the hell was that? Oh my god, that was the.
Halloween's over, bro.
That was the creepiest moment. I'm having technical difficulties. All right. Sorry, that ruins the segue. Just watch the commercial. Are you working in a job that sucks balls? Does your job suck and ergo your life? Do you want to change that because your life is sucking? Join the TBP Slack. Get a better job.
I like that commercial's played while someone is literally listening to the Bitcoin podcast or watching it.
Yeah, we're playing a commercial for a show that
you should be listening, and you are. So good job.
I'm having technical difficulties. All right. So, anyways, today's discussion is about this decentralization thing. Some of you new people, super new to crypto, who Googled us and you're like, centralization, decentralization? What are they talking about? Decentralization is the linchpin of what gives crypto its value. And now I'm going to say intrinsic value. I don't give a damn what any economist says out there that crypto doesn't have intrinsic value. You guys can lick 'em a boo because it does. It has intrinsic value. Sorry, Wayne, I failed the CEO test of not being able to curse because I mean it's just too easy to do sometimes. But nevertheless, decentralization is what makes this tech kind of really powerful. And if it's not decentralized and it is centralized, then it makes a boatload of money, like Solana and stuff like that. So, so sorry. Ruin the punchline there. Hold up, you're still muted. I'm gonna unmute you, Cole.
Thank you. Good idea, by the way. The only reason it doesn't have intrinsic value, I think, is only Nakamoto protocols, and it's because of forking. Other than that, I'd agree with you. If Nakamoto protocols didn't enable forks, I would think it also has intrinsic value. Because you can randomly just split the chain, and now you have 2 chains of equal tokens.
Not an equal weight.
You don't know what the equal weight's going to be until the social consensus jumps in. So it's the forking rules that actually, in my opinion, make it not intrinsically valuable.
See, but I think
I disagree.
I think that argument goes out the window when you take into account like the network effect, and I know that's kind of cliche or whatever to say, but if I fork Bitcoin right now and make Bitcoin D's vision, then it's not going to be worth anything. It's just going to be me running a node in my office, and yep,
that has the weight and distribution of whatever he forked, but nothing after that. So that and
Yeah,
it's
but
not
what
like
about
it's not like it completely
BCH or
switched.
Satoshi's vision? Like,
Well,
remember
they
when we
did a
had
good
this
job
big
of
question
marketing
as-
enough people that mine those things, and the blocks that get built on top of them have weight and people who agree to use it. It's not it's like there's a continued community around that new asset. It's a brand new asset and has nothing to do with the previous one. It has to do with
There's
the
a whole
communities
big
that leave
question
it.
there's a whole question as to who was going to get to determine who gets to keep the BTC ticker, which chain was going to be the right chain.
Oh,
Remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
For
And,
sure.
and so like that is not something that happens with things that have intrinsic value. Gold is always gold. You see what I mean?
Intrinsic.
And so
Okay. Intrinsic. I'll give you that. That's more of a
That's a
associated with
strong
utility.
argument. I've never heard that argument before. That's I like it.
It is
I
an
like
assigned value based
I like
on based on a social norm.
So let's just stop calling gold gold, baby. Let's call gold shiny metal. And let's call silver.
Highly conductive metal. That's
Let's
hard
call-
to.
Let's call
to
silver
grade.
gold, baby. And let's just change the names of these things.
it's still got the same
Intrinsic
elemental
properties.
weight. Yep. So that's why aluminum,
Mm.
despite being very common, has intrinsic value. That's why water has intrinsic value. Like water's water, man. Like now you can say that pure water, but it's still like H2O at the very base level, you know? It's like those things have intrinsic
the
value.
game.
But here's the thing: is like wheat also has intrinsic value, and the calories, like it's a literal, like those are things that actually you can't just like suddenly make more wheat, like appear from other wheat. You see what I mean? Like you can't just also decide that wheat
Cloning.
doesn't have the, you know what I mean? It's like these are things that have intrinsic value, but you can't do that with Bitcoin because it's social value. It
Yeah.
always has been.
That's the game right there.
Well, it's always a
Selling
combination of the
index
two,
on
right? Like, and that's the way it is with these networks in a
Periodic
lot of
table.
ways. Like, it's a combination of the two, but the intrinsic part is much more hard to argue. There is intrinsic value in the history of a given chain and your inability to change it,
Sure. But what's
and
that history really
information
worth?
embedded in it, right? So, like as a timestamping surface, it's one of the best in the world. That has value.
Well,
So like it's
my
there.
talking-
It's just way more difficult to argue against, and it's not the majority of the value because, as we all know, and we've talked about plenty of times, like the utility value of all of these things is nothing compared to the actual price it's being sold at today. Most of the price is speculative, and there's a real interplay between speculative future utility price and current utility price, and how those two things interoperate. For funny enough, me and Ari Paul went on a very long discussion on that in particular on the last Hashing It Out. So go check that out. Haha, plug my soon.
Nice.
So, I wanted to get into we do have show notes here.
I mean, we're running out of time.
We are running out of time pretty quick, but I did want to
Whatever, time's infinite.
Not when you have a baby.
let me pick one
That's
of
your
these.
fault.
Let me pick
That
one of
is
these
your
stories.
very much my
entirely
fault.
your fault.
That is very much my fault.
Stick to it takes two to tango. It's Corey and his wife's fault.
I'm not saying it's nobody else's fault, but I'm a culprit.
Yeah.
Well, you made a cute one at least,
Oh,
so
he is really cute.
he really is. You did great. Good genes.
Yeah.
He's like debating, contemplating it. Yeah, no, I think he's
Yeah.
right. It might be actually a cute.
No, that wasn't because of that phase. I was having just a way too deep of a thought. But anyway,
It's still in the intrinsic value thing.
no, not at all. But two quick news things to talk about because it does help to talk about some kind of like relevant mainstream news that my parents are calling and talking to me about, like I don't already know, but I love it. It's so cute. They're like, "Hey, I heard somebody was talking about Bitcoin the other day in the news." I'm like, "All right, thanks, appreciate it." Tim Cook, Apple guy running Apple right now, doing a pretty bang up job. Apple's making me money. Don't know if it's making y'all money, but yeah, I got some of them little stocky stocks. When it splits, buy some Apple stock. That's a golden rule right there. Negro Dom is special. That's a tip. Every time it splits, buy.
Not investment advice.
Hashtag investment advice. Sue me, bitch. But
Sue him. Do not sue us.
Can I extricate
She's
myself
kidding,
from that?
folks. She's kidding. The tone the tone indicates he's kidding. We'll move on.
Tim Cook, and he came out and said, "I'm definitely an owner of cryptocurrency. I own the bitcoins."
So
But
Peter
Apple,
Thiel.
but he needed to. Well, Peter Thiel actually went overboard too. He was like, the only thing I regret more in the past decade was not buying more cryptocurrency. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's the best performing asset in the past 10 years. No shit. Like,
yeah,
it's
by
by far
pretty great.
I remember Vitalik Buterin's a Thiel Fellowship recipient.
Yes.
He's a Teal fellow. Yeah,
What's
that's where
all
he came from.
Vitalik up to these days? He seems quiet now.
No, he's a researcher. He does research.
Mathing it up in a lab somewhere.
He's the chief scientist
Look at
of
that.
Ethereum. He does research.
How do you become a chief scientist?
That was the name he gave himself because he didn't want to be like this.
You just invent the title and tell everybody that's who you are. All right. And then the other thing in the
What
news,
happened?
which is something very interesting, something that of one of many shows. If you want to go back and listen to all of the Bitcoin podcasts and see how much cool shit that we've all said, Jesse's the only one that doesn't like to make outlandish future projections. He just like deals in the very real. You're very pragmatic, I'd say, Jess. You like don't.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm not.
Got to get him on a clip. It's
Like
very
with
difficult.
keyboards.
Yeah, if we're talking about keyboards, Jess
Yeah.
will be like,
I think he already lit up. Just the thought of talking about it.
Alicia, did you make that?
Yeah, well, she made that.
Oh
Yes,
man.
she
Oh my god.
She has it on the ready.
Man, that was so fast too.
one of the things that I said many moons ago, actually it was back in 2016, it was our second year doing the show, is that the regulators are so far behind. And I was basically saying, like, stop worrying about regulation and outlawing Bitcoin, because the regulators are so far behind that by the time it really, like, honestly gets put on the table for them to regulate and drop a ban hammer down, so many politicians will own so much of this stuff that they're going to start voting to keep it around, and it's going to be stuck in regulation hell limbo forever. And then eventually so many politicians will have so much of it, they're just going to say, like, we're just going to let it be a thing. Like, we don't care. And that's what's already starting to happen when you have like 3 different mayors in 3 different very popular cities, Miami, New York, and I can't remember the third one, that are saying they're going to take their paychecks in Bitcoin, and they're promoting cryptocurrency and different digital assets. Like, we're going to, more and more politicians in America are going to have deep crypto pockets. And if it comes down to regulation, they're not going to really, unless they're dirty, they'll probably sell all their stuff and then regulate it. But
Unless they're dirty.
well,
Yeah, I think you just kind of like created a opposing
Did
argument to what you
I
just
put a
said.
loophole in my own argument? No, but I just, I think it'll get to a point where they'll have so much of their wealth in crypto that they want to then pass on to their kids and stuff. Then they'll protect it, So I have the same keyboard, but I don't think Jesse, he probably thinks that's not a good keyboard.
We can't tell because of your background. It's very strange.
I know. I thought it was cool.
Look at Jesse. He's rating the keyboard like this is American Idol. He's like, it's a nice try.
I mean,
But
Colin, Olive Branch. I'll get you in on some customs, like some actual customs.
What does that mean?
You trying to drop
Like,
scratch on some keyboards?
Like, yeah, you trying to drop some
trying to
actual
get
money?
trying to get some
Keyboard?
expensive clickety clacks?
yeah,
Jesse's got you.
Jesse's the
Okay,
dude
let's do it.
Jesse's the dude in like the John Wick movies that he goes in, he gets his gun, he's like, and this one right here is my favorite, made in 1910. You see this bolt right here was only made at 5 different factories. And like Jesse's that dude with keyboards. He'll be
Yeah.
like,
Wow.
that E button right there. That was there were only 1,000 of those made. But like, why are you shaking your head, Jesse? Like it's not true.
No, it's true. It's true. It's yeah, it's true. It's true.
He'll go to Best Buy. And he's
Colin,
like, get
Colin,
these
After you
bullshit
type on
keyboards."
like a good keyboard, you're gonna be like, "Wow, there's an actual difference."
So
between
it's like
anything
perfect
else.
level, like in Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty.
It's whatever you want it to be.
Dude,
Seriously.
I so want you to open up a small storefront, and it is
Yeah.
like a jewelry store, but just keyboards. Like people come in there and like, oh, you want to see that one? I'll be right back.
See, the problem
You
is
come in,
brick and
pull
mortar.
it.
No, I would do like an NFT store in Decentraland, and then NFTs of the keyboards, and then you order the
Has anyone
NFT.
done Decentraland?
I have, but there were dicks in the museum last time I went. Just like a lot of
real
dicks
dicks?
everywhere. No, like just drawn ones.
I
Like
mean,
every
well, yeah,
every
but
kind.
like that's what I meant. Graffiti
Like
dicks.
shitty
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
people
That makes
or
sense.
graffiti dicks. That's a
No.
Yeah,
I
like,
thought you meant
that's
shitty
it.
people,
That's-
but
Corey knows what I was trying to say. Yeah. Like, yeah, is it like a bunch of Colin Couchets hanging around, or is it like
No, actual dicks.
a bunch of Roman pictures on the wall, like Roman graffiti or whatever? Anyway,
like models, statues, everything, all you can think of.
Jesus, that's
Yeah.
the funniest-
big veiny bastards.
what's wrong with that? That sounds great.
The metaverse.
I think we should
I'm
wrap
all
it
about
up.
this metaverse, Linden
All right.
Labs.
Let's
All right.
wrap it. Let's wrap this bad boy.
I'm going to get in trouble. I'm getting
let's do the
canceled for that.
things.
All right.
Please become a patron. You could donate $1, $3, $4, $5. I don't know, however many. And you'll get the things on the tiers. By becoming a patron, the real value is every once in a blue moon when the stars align. Corey and I, and Jesse, if he wants to, do these meta episodes where we go and listen to. We've done one so far. That's what I mean when the stars align. We listen to our old episodes back in 2015, 16, 17, whatever, and just provide color commentary about some of the things that were said in the interview and in the roundtable that either are true or really, really wrong. And we try to avoid the stuff that puts a glass ceiling on us. We just because we said some wild shit. So, so you get access to those. Of course, you get early access to the show. So the show the Bitcoin podcast typically drops on Monday. For you, it'll drop Sunday morning, bright and early. You can listen to it before anybody else and start talking about cool stuff in the Slack before anybody else if you want to. If you really want to. You can join the Slack, go to thebitcoinpodcast.com, push the button that says Slack. There's literally one thing you have to do. So if you can't follow those directions, we don't want to talk to you because you're most likely somebody who's so dumb we can't. We won't get along.
I think the word for that is dolt.
Dolt?
You're a dolt.
Yeah, if you're adult, don't worry about it. We don't want to hang out with you. Go to the big.
What are you, like a 50-year-old white guy? Like
I'm a curmudgeon.
Yeah,
Yes.
What are you, my grandpa? Like
That guy over
you
That fella over there is a dope, isn't he?
I'm a curmudgeon.
Fella over there. Let me go to the store.
Too many years of IT.
Get my
This
Cracker
has made
Jack.
me unsavory.
Cracker Jacks used to come in a box. Now they come in a bag. Anyways, so it's sorry.
It was the other way around, actually.
Podcast. What is this? What is this for? Oh,
Actually, they might.
okay. So we got another paid 5-star. Who is this person, and why do they keep giving us paid 5-star reviews? Like we don't come clean, Corey, Jetty.
Mary
Oh,
Ann?
I don't touch
Is
any
what
of this
you
stuff.
guys paid for podcast reviews?
No, I don't pay anybody for anything.
Okay. Hands down, one of the most trusted names in Bitcoin.
I mean, it's not wrong.
I mean, that doesn't feel paid. That doesn't feel paid because the last ones were like these guys, Corey. No, it was like Corey D and other guy. I
They
love
didn't say other
No,
guy.
no,
They
there
said
was
Corey
another
and
guy.
D. Just
They
said
said
Corey
Corey
and D.
and I was like,
so ambiguous.
they don't listen to the show.
Template names.
But anyways, on your podcasting apps, that's what that means. Give us a rating, right? If you didn't like anything at all, you don't like the sound of Corey's voice, you don't like the sound of Jesse's voice, give us 1 star. Tell us why. They'll change their voice. If you love the show, give us a 5-star. You think we're somewhere in between? Give us the in between stars, or claps or whatever your podcasting app does. What was that? Are we gonna get copyright stricken?
No.
Okay.
That's short enough. You need to be over a certain amount of time to get any type of.
Do a little bit of shout out. Shout out to that guy. Shout out to
Who's that guy?
No clue.
We don't know.
I've never known.
Oh.
Shout out to Shaq. Shout out to that guy.
Eugene.
Eugene. From where?
Try Guys.
Shout out to Eugene for Try Guys. Shout out to Olivia Munn for
Nice.
what you do. Oh, and Paul Mulaney. I remember that. Paul Mulaney got out
John
of
Mulaney.
rehab and then booed up Olivia Munn. He knocked her up too, didn't he? Oh, wait.
John
Probably
Mulaney.
met in rehab.
Johnny Mulaney probably did that in rehab. And shout out to, I believe that's Shakira, but I'm not 100% sure. Shout out to Lou. Why do we give shout out to Lil Uzi Vert? Maybe just type it in the private chat, at least, because I don't even like his music. It's very bad. Shout out to well, that's it. It's everybody. Play the outro.
Shout out to your mom.
I forgot about Zanzi Beats. And my brother's doing very well. Thank you, Colin.
I know.
Oh, yeah. That's old long neck and white face Zoe Saldana. Shout out to you, girl. All right, play the outro.